over family.
Some notes for my son. So going back, I was raised by my mother, single parent household, myself and my two brothers, just the four of us. Mama moved from staying with her parents. We moved into a small 3-bedroom apartment in the projects. Yeah, we were there until I turned 13. So as a young man, I think early years, I was a little more outgoing, a little more talkative, and someone who know me now would definitely think I was a little different. And I think I started becoming a little more quiet around the time that my brothers went to school. It was a big deal, me being at home by myself. Just the fact that if mama was doing something, it was just me, nobody else to play with. Yeah, I was just sitting in there by myself. It kind of made me a little bit of a loner. Kind of made me into, I guess, what people would call the quiet person I am today. But our childhood, we had a lot of struggles. It wasn't easy with mama doing it on her own and trying to raise 3 boys into men. So yeah, we had a lot of ups, we had a lot of downs. It was not easy at all. Like I said, we had a lot of hard days. But we had a lot of, it sounds really cliche, but we had a lot of love. My mama, she struggled, and we knew that she was willing, and she literally did everything that she could to make our life better. And I can't say thanks enough to her for that. So like, yeah, she definitely did a good job of showing us what it means to work, what it means to be able to provide for your family, and just instilling the work ethic in us. Next question was what it means to be a black man in 2020. Man, it's a lot. I'll be honest with you. In 2020, being a black man is different than in 1990 as a black child. Or what I saw my uncles go through, what I saw my grandfather go through, all the other men that I knew. Growing up in the 80s, 90s, seeing them as a black man, their experience was obviously different than what we have in June 2020. I'll tell you something that I don't think I've said before, but if I could go back and ask God, hey, make me this race, or whatever, I would need nothing but black. I'm proud of being a black man. God willing, you will be as well. When I say that, it's not an arrogance thing or a pride thing. It's we've overcome a lot. We still have to overcome a lot. But 100% of the time, we always put in the work to do that. And this is not to put anybody else down, but because of those things, black men are inherently strong, inherently positive. Now, we may not always be viewed that way. Other people may make you think something different. Society may try to put that into your head or put that into the world that we are something different, but that's what we are. That's our guiding principles. That's our foundation. And you're going to have the same thing. Again, just wear that with pride. God didn't make a mistake in making neither one of us who we are. It's almost like a mantle that we have to carry. God willing, I'm going to carry it, and I'll be a good example for you. And then when you get older, you'll take it, and you'll be the same thing. How I met your mother, my wife. It was in the 10th grade, the first time I saw her, and she don't remember this, but she was coming down that middle hall in the high school. I think she knows what I'm talking about when I say that. She had this little long, like, brown dress on. This is when we weren't wearing uniform at school. Right before it was mandatory to start wearing the uniforms. She had this long dress on, and she was coming down the hall, and it was almost like one of the TV shows where it's like moving in slow motion and all that stuff. I thought she was really pretty. She always had this really like long hair, and she had it down that day. And when I saw her, I was like, oh, yeah, she's a really pretty girl. So our senior year, we graduated. I knew that I didn't want to lose contact with her. So I did something that some people might say it was illegal, but I knew I was going to the Navy, and my recruiter had this little notebook out there that had every student's information in it, like their address and their phone number and all that stuff. So as soon as I saw that, I thought one thing. I thought, hey man, I'm leaving in like a month. Let me take this shot real quick. First name I looked up was my wife's, your mama. We're gonna call this number real quick. So I called her. And this wasn't in the cell phone days and the text messages and all that good stuff. It was only God. She was at home, I still remember she was listening to a Brian McKnight song when I called her. But yeah, called her, talked to her. Hey, you know, just call and check on you. It was under the, well, I told her, yeah, I was just trying to, you know, find out if you were interested in the Navy. Trying to do my recruiter a favor. But obviously that wasn't what I was calling for. So yeah, we started talking and we talked for a little bit during that time. And towards the end of the conversation, I was like, hey, you know, I'm leaving in a few weeks. Do you mind if I get your address so I can send you a couple letters? This is what we did back in those days. It seemed like it was so long ago, but email wasn't a real big thing, and plus I wasn't going to be able to email from boot camp. So I wrote handwritten letters from the time I got to boot camp, really up until the time that me and your mama became serious. And that's really how we stayed in contact with each other. I was gone a lot during my first couple years in the Navy, in and out the sea and deployment and all that good stuff. So the way I stayed in contact with her was through letters. Yeah, that's how we made it work. When I knew that I was gonna marry your mama, I had wanted to be with her since high school, but we went our separate ways after we graduated. For years, like I said, we just stayed in contact through letters. I think it was very little emails exchanged, but letters were our primary means of communication. It just so happened in 2005 that through a letter, at the time my sister-in-law, Rodrigo, basically put us two back in contact. From the minute that I saw your mama in 2005, yeah, I knew we were gonna be together. It was the first time I had seen her in years. But when I saw her, I was at my mama's house on leave. I just asked her to come over, just wanted to hang out with her, see her. But the minute that she got out of the car and I saw her, yeah, I knew. Yeah, we were gonna be together. Yeah. I wasn't gonna let her get away. Things I would want you to be aware of is, obviously, we are Christians. We believe in God. That's the first thing. Everything else is kind of a wash. That may be a southern saying, or I don't know if it's a saying everywhere. But people say you marry your parents. Girls marry their father, boys marry their mama. I don't know if that's true or not. But if honestly, and this is not just to sound cliche or nothing like that, but if you find somebody with the qualities that your mama has, you'll find you a good wife. What I tell you to do is, let me back up a little bit. Ain't gonna be nobody like your mama. That's not. I think God made only one of those. Find somebody similar to that. Yeah, you'll definitely find you something good. The thing I would say is, from this point on, as you get ready to turn 13, start studying your mama. Start studying how she does what she does in the house. Start studying our interactions. Ask her a question. Ask her how she would look at a certain situation. To get a feel of exactly what I'm saying. Get a feel of who your mama is, her values, things of that nature. That's the easiest example that I can tell you that you'll have in regards to want to find a wife. Outside of that, again, just look for somebody who principles line up with yours. Somebody who, for your attitude and your personality, you mesh with. That's one of the biggest things. You have to get along. Y'all have to get along. God willing, I'll still be around, and we'll go from there. In regards to being all the biblical roles that it says that a man and a husband should have, it's a lot. And to be honest with you, just to tell you the whole story, growing up in a single parent household, it's a lot of things that I did not know until I actually got married. It was only God who allowed my wife to be, your mama, to be patient. As I learned some of these things, we started out, didn't know much. I didn't, about being a husband, didn't know much at all. I had a lot of good men in my life growing up, but nothing like, hey, yeah, father put me to the side in this nature. So again, a lot of the things I asked other good men that I knew, and a lot of other things, like quite a few things in my life, I learned by just doing it. So yeah, one of the things that I would definitely tell you, you have a lot of roles. Your main role is the protector of your house. And I'm not just saying, hey, making sure nobody messing with your family physically. Obviously, that's a given. But one of the things, you're going to need to pray for your family. You're going to need to make sure your family is being covered spiritually. But again, just the simplest way I can put that is praying for your family. Making sure your family is okay. Because there's a lot of things that you can't do as a man, as a husband. A lot of places you're not going to be. So what you want to do is obviously you want to keep your family in prayer. And that covers a lot. obviously you're gonna want to be a provider for your family. Nobody should work harder for your family than you. That's self-explanatory right there. Nobody should be grinding more for your family than you. One thing I did learn, I always make that one of my biggest priorities, because he did. I got from my grandfather, my mama's father. I saw him a lot. I had two good grandfathers, but the grandfather who I spent the most time with was my mama's father, who, thank God, you get to see sometimes. His biggest thing was he wouldn't rest if his family needed something. He was gonna grind and he was gonna put in whatever work that needed to be put in if his family was in need. I'm the same way, thank God, and that's definitely something I want you to do. You're gonna have to learn how to nurture your family. You're gonna have to have a, what I call it, somewhat of a softer side. It's not always about going in and there being rah-rah and flipping over tables when daddy come home and being mean and that type of stuff. You're gonna have to know how to get through, especially we didn't grow up with sisters. So seeing my daughters, seeing my wife, and knowing how to interact because you have sisters, because you see me interacting with your mama, it may be a little easier for you, but you definitely need to understand how to nurture as well as be the provider. You're gonna have to be able to put your foot down, but at the same time you have to be able to nurture and to have somewhat of a softer side. So the next question was how to make hard decisions. Obviously, as a man, as a father, you can have a lot of these. Your hard decisions are coming with who to spend your time with, who to hang around. You're becoming the man that you want to be. Number one, you're going to have a relationship with God. You're going to need a prayer life. You're going to need to know how to pray. You're going to need to know how to put yourself in a position to where you're praying to God, and honestly, it's not that deep. You hear from God. You actually being able to pray and you saying, or you knowing, okay, God would like me to go in this direction. That's the start. Again, that's going to carry you from the time you're 15, 16 to you might. The next thing I would say is find some good people that you know have the same morals, you know have the same principles that you have, and lean on those folks for advice. Talk to those people, tell them your situation, because about 90% of the time they went through the same stuff. That leads into the next thing. One thing I found that's definitely a positive is one thing that definitely pays off. Find someone who is where you want to be and ask them or lean on them for advice. And so as long as their morals line up, as long as you're praying and you feel like this person is someone who God would want you to trust, yeah, lean on them for advice. I lean on a lot of people. Number one person I can think of right now is your Uncle Marvin. I talk to him about a lot of things, and he's giving me good advice 100% of the time. As you get older, I'll bring you to him, which I'm pretty, he's already gave you advice before, but the more you and I get older, we can continue to go to him and do the same thing. But again, on that same line, hopefully, God willing, I'm around for a long time, and I'll be a person that you can lean on, and we'll get through it together. It took a lot to make me into the man that I am now. I made a lot of mistakes, definitely hadn't done everything perfect. A lot of things I wish I could do differently in life, but at the same time, I also feel like there's a lot of positive that I've done, a lot of positive stuff that I still have to do. So, saying all that to say, I just want to thank all the men who helped make me into the man that I am now. Starting with my grandfather, definitely appreciate them. Yeah. I couldn't have been where I am now without them. All my uncles, they know. It goes without saying on both sides of the family. From my Uncle Marvin, my mama's brothers, all three of them, Derry, Seal, and Low. We just keep it at Low. I appreciate all y'all. I definitely do. Y'all gave me the lessons that I'm going to give my son. And I know I keep saying God willing, but that's the truth. As much time as God will allow us to have together, and with the job that I have, hopefully I can bring my son around y'all so he can get some of the lessons that I got from y'all. And just trust while I'm away, while we're away, all the stuff that y'all gave me, I'm putting it into him. Just thank y'all. And it is because of y'all that I'm proud to be a black man.